Colorado. I am a disruptor, and I am here today to teach you what I've learned so that you can become a disruptor too. So I'm going to start with my 4 pillars of disruption. I had 600, and I wanted to go through each and every one of them with you, but because Ted and Daphne are only giving me 12 minutes, I narrowed it down to 4. So to become a great disruptor, you have to have time and patience. To become a great disruptor, you have to have your own network. And think of a network as your own community. You have to fail forward, and you have to finish. And you have to look at compounded results. Now, I always wasn't a disruptor. In fact, my life started out very different. I was born to a super loving family. But when I was 9 years old, my parents didn't love each other anymore, and so they divorced. And I bounced around, going back and forth between mom and dad. I grew up in a small town in California, and when my mom settled down, I ended up in a smaller town. I knew I was going to conquer the world, I just didn't know how. And when I was 18 years old, I found myself being a senior in high school, and I was a little ornery, as you could imagine, so I moved out. And I supported myself when I was 18 years old. I had 2 choices when I graduated high school, which, by the way, was by 1 point, but I did graduate. And I could either move to the Bay Area, or I could move to Los Angeles, and I chose the Bay Area. It was really easy for a young woman like me to get a great job, because I had great values from my family of work hard, be honest, be loyal. And so I worked my way up the corporate ladder really fast. But that wasn't enough for me. I wanted to change the world. I wanted more. So from there, I got a second job. So I worked in San Francisco in a real estate office from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And then I worked at a bar 3 nights a week from 10 to 4 a.m. And I commuted. But then my life changed again. You see, this guy walked in the bar. And this guy is amazing. It's almost 30 years later that we've been married. So as I was falling in love with my husband, we had this unbelievable first date. It was a fairy tale date, and we were starting to fall in love. So after a few dates, we might have moved in together. But from there, things got very serious. And when you get very serious with the person that you love, you go and you meet his parents. Well, my in-laws are also incredibly unique as my husband is. And so we, of course, to the Morgridge way, we met at Costco. My father-in-law was buying a tuxedo for his company Christmas party because he had taken a company called Cisco Systems public. This changed our lives again. So I had written a business plan while I was working in the Bay Area, and John and I opened up a chain of tanning salons. And as we had 2 small children, we decided that living in a huge city just wasn't for us. We had a love for nature, and John was a ski instructor. And because of Cisco Systems and the great employees there and what they do, that allowed us to move to Aspen, Colorado. And it was there that we restarted our lives. I became a licensed contractor, and John and I flipped homes while we lived in Aspen, and it was incredible. John's mom, Tasha, invited John to be on their board because they started to give away their money. My in-laws were one of the first couples to sign the Giving Pledge. And if you don't know what the Giving Pledge is, it was started by Bill and Melinda Gates and Warren Buffett. And it's where you give away half of your wealth before you pass. There's a great joy in giving. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about disruption. So John and Tasha asked John to be on the board, and we had great opportunities, but I had to learn. I had to be taught. I had to be mentored. I did not come from wealth. And I joined the Aspen Valley Community Foundation, and it was there that I learned to look at a grant, to read a grant, to actually become a philanthropist. But Colorado is a really long winter. And so we found ourselves, where could we go with the kids while they were still in school, where it was warm? So we chose Florida. And so we would split our time. You know, when the kids had break from school, we would go from Aspen to Florida, or Aspen to Florida and back. And when the kids were in middle school, it didn't quite work out. So we moved completely to Florida. I became a Florida resident. This is when I first started using my network. I moved to a place where I knew nobody, and I had to start over. I had no credibility. So Christine Bonero of United Way Denver made a call to the United Way Orlando, where we had decided to move, and I wanted to work on a project in homelessness. My friend Jamie Van Leeuwen had taught me that Denver had a 10-year road home plan to end homelessness, and I had worked on that plan with him. What I'd also learned, though, is that after we started giving money, we were giving money the same way to the same people, to the same programs, but we were expecting different results, so that wasn't working. When I moved to Florida, it was my first chance to try something different. Again, I wanted more. I wanted better results. I wanted to try something different. So United Way arranged a meeting, and I listened to all the homeless projects around the table, and it was like a Shark Tank before there was a Shark Tank. And what I was really listening for was I was trying to get a feel of, could we do something different? And as we sat around the table, nope, not it. Then this amazing gentleman named Dave Krepko from Feeding America said, you know, Carrie, I've been listening to how you've reacted to the other people, and it's clearly not a fit. I have this crazy idea. What if so Dave was involved with Feeding America, and SNAP benefits is a government subsidy that helps people who are having a hard time. However, the SNAP benefits is not on the bus line. Over 60% of people that receive SNAP benefits actually have a job, 1, 2, or 3 jobs. And they were going to have to take the day off, take the bus, 1, 2, or 3, to get to the SNAP benefits bus office. And it wasn't even on the bus line, so they also had to walk. Dave said, what if we do this, Carrie? What if I were to tell you, for $250,000, we could hire 5 people and have 5 rovers, use a United Way 211 call, and go to them? What if we could meet them where they're at? I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This sounds awesome. So I took our courage money and I invested in Dave. I was willing to fail. I was willing to try something different. And in our first year, what was so great about Dave and his leadership is that he kept me in contact constantly about what was going on with the program. He made me feel as if I was part of the solution. And he was sharing me personal stories of families lives were being changed because they now got food in the pantry and food for their children. This was my first taste of disruption. And this is how I got to my 4 pillars, because it taught me so much. First, it taught me that I had to have patience. I've done 9 Ironman. I don't have patience. I barely sat through the day. I've been back in the green room pacing. I also had to call on my network. To meet Dave, I had to use Christine Bonero and also my other networks, and I had learned from the things that I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do. I was willing to fail. I was willing to try something different with Dave. And I can tell you this today, that the 10-year runway, compounded results, is super important. It's 10 years later, it's actually 12 years later. In the first 10 years, Dave went from pulling down $1 million in SNAP benefits. He's pulled down $100 million in SNAP benefits for the families in Orlando. So, if you're going to be a disruptor, you have to give people like Dave the runway to get done what they're going to get done. And I think in education, we don't do that enough with our educators. When we're turning around to school, we say, okay, you have 6 months to do it. It's almost not possible. I know Chris Godowski has done it, but it's almost not possible. We have to give a longer runway. Call on your network. We all have a network. I talked to my Uber driver today. He didn't have a LinkedIn account. The very first thing you need to do, if you don't have it, get your LinkedIn account up and running. Get your network started. And your network, we all have a network. We can all do this. We can all be disruptors. Use your network starting in your own community. Use your church, use your soccer club, use whatever, your taekwondo, whatever club you belong to. Use your network. And also grab those people who are unique and different. I never know when I'm going to need to call on someone, and we now tag people in our network. I have over 3,000 people in my network that I can pick up the phone and call. I want you to fail. I want you to fail forward, but I want you to finish. I'm also the author of 2 books, and I hear this all the time. I'm just a chapter away from finishing my book. Finish your book. Finish your project. Do not start a project that you cannot finish. And then compound your results. So what? I've taught you everything I know. I have 600 other pillars I could share with you, and I have 36 seconds to do it in. So that's not going to happen. So for me personally, I have my 10th Ironman is in 4 weeks. For me personally, my 30th anniversary is coming up, and it sounds like a darn good trip to me. But for me professionally, what is so exciting is what my network is doing. My network from Impact 100, where 100 women give $1,000 and make a $100,000 transformative gift in their own community, is amazing. You could join Impact 100. You can join American Enterprise Institute. You can join all the networks that we have. You should check out Stand Together. Stand Together helps nonprofits, takes them to the next level. You can do this work. And I challenge you with my 4 pillars, what are you going to disrupt? Thank you.